Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Wellness Wednesday. And today I have a very special guest on the show called Saara Luna. So thank you for joining us today, Saara. I was going to introduce you, but I feel like you would do a much better job of introducing yourself. So can you please tell me a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's such a lovely invitation. So, my name is Saara, and I am a holistic healing practitioner that works particularly with body work and energy work. I'm also a mother, and I am an artist, and I am the co founder and one of the directors of Healing Justice London.
Amazing. And Healing Justice sounds like you're healing with like a very strong intention for justice. So can you tell me a little bit about healing for justice? Like, is there a very like strong or even like political intention behind it?
Yeah, Healing Justice is very political. So it was created by myself and my colleague, Fazana Khan, 5 years ago with the intention of creating accessible spaces for healing and also to shift policy and narrative on healthcare so that it's more inclusive and representative of marginalized communities. So we've been doing this work, and like obviously now it's become a lot more mainstream, a lot more understood, but we've been doing this work for many years before. And yeah, we offer healing spaces that are people of color centered, as well as having a framework and understanding that is intersectional. So understanding disability justice, understanding lots of people from different marginalized backgrounds, and how we can basically access the wisdom from those communities and make shifts in our communities and society. So yeah, that's a big part of what I'm doing at the moment. And within that, actually, I run a mum circle, a mama group. And another big thing that I'm doing right now, since I've become a mother and I've become a lot more interested, well, I've always been interested in it, but a lot more kind of, I guess, through my own experience, like fascinated with birth and pregnancy. I'm doing a lot of work around healing for mothers, and I'm creating an online course, co-creating an online course, which is a online community space for mothers, all mothers, to come and receive a healing space and learn tools and practices for mental health, for physical stuff, and also just to kind of be in that community, be held in community, which we so often don't have.
Amazing. Yeah, what springs to mind is the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
Like, I feel, I'm not a mother myself, but I feel traditionally in tribes we were meant to bring up our children like together around each other, help each other. So I feel like that's super important work you're doing. That's so amazing that you've created that space.
Yeah, they say so, like it takes a village to raise a child, and then also it takes a village to raise a mother, because you get reborn. And so often that it can be so isolating, and particularly now in COVID, where we're literally everyone's separated, so motherhood becomes even more isolating. And it's often stuff that's not, it's still so taboo to talk about, you know, anxiety and depression in motherhood. I mean, anyway, but particularly in motherhood, because you're not like meant to feel those things. You're just meant to be really happy and you've got a baby and all this stuff. But there's a lot that doesn't, there's not a space to express, so then it can just like internalize. So, you know, like exactly like you said, we just need, you know, we need people. Humans need people, and motherhood is very much that space where it's a collective job. You know, it's not meant to be one person or two people doing it on their own. It's meant to be a community.
That really like got to my heart.
Cool.
It is meant to be a community. And how are you running them? Are you running them online right now during COVID, or is it like you're doing it in an outdoor space? And are they regular? Like, if there's any mums watching this, like how can people come along and get involved?
Sure. So what I'm currently running through Healing Justice is it's called Mama Circle. That we do fairly regularly, about one a month. And this space is quite, so it's not people of color exclusive, but it's centered around those marginalized. So it centers people of color, people who might have a disability, etc. So it's not exclusive, but it's just kind of shifting the focus, if that makes sense, because we know in wellness spaces usually it's very much white-centered spaces. You know, we're seeing a lot of that kind of understanding now, and it's about how we can create equity and more inclusivity. So that's that space. And then the course that I'm going to be running is going to be an online course, and that is just open for everyone. And we're going to have different.
Sorry, just to backtrack. So, you said it's open for everyone, but like, how would someone like get involved if they wanted to come along? Like, is it weekly, monthly? Like, how?
Yeah. So the course, we're going to launch it hopefully next week, but we'll see if it'll be next week or the week after. And it's going to be a 6-week course, which is going to include a lot of different embodiment practices. It's going to include aromatherapy knowledge. I'm doing it with my friend who's an aromatherapist, a flower remedy practitioner, as well as a masseuse, energy worker, lots of things, working particularly with women, mothers, and pre and postnatal people. So the aim of it is just to include lots of different practices, as well as ritual and tools that people can take with them to be able to regulate emotion, to basically to be able to understand what might be happening kind of hormonally, as well as, you know, creating that space for the initiation that is motherhood, wherever you might be on the journey, whether it's, you know, pregnancy, or whether it's actually that you've experienced a loss. Or maybe you're a mother but you've had kids for like, you know, 15 years. Maybe you're a grandmother. You know, we haven't necessarily had those rites of passage, and we need them, like they're essential. So it's a space to also create that as well. So if you are interested in the course, if you get in touch with me, I can put you on the list as people when we email out about it. Yeah.
Amazing. So it's almost like a virtual rites of passage ceremony with lots of helpful life hacks for whatever stage people are at on their journey of motherhood. Is that correct?
Right.
Amazing. Wow, that sounds super yummy. If I was a mother, I'd love to go on that journey, because I think it's so important in our societies. We don't have that. We don't hold it as sacred, I feel, as much, motherhood, and it's such a sacred experience.
Totally. And it's so often invisibilized. It's so often I mean, so much of the work that goes into it isn't seen, it's not valued still. You know, we think we've kind of got past that, but we actually haven't. It's still very gendered, you know. And yeah, so, you know, it's about how we can just visibilize, hold, acknowledge, and hold sacred, you know, and how we can kind of platform that. So something I'm actually doing around that is just on my Instagram, and it's kind of for my own interest, but also as a way to visibilize and create that kind of that platform, is I'm going to be interviewing people who are doulas, people who are midwives, people who work with wombing, people who work around birth, motherhood, and pregnancy generally, just so they can talk about their practice and things that might be coming up for them, why it's important now, why it's always important, what this moment of COVID is teaching us about it, what Black Lives Matter right now is teaching us about it, or showing what has been existing. So yeah, kind of just, you know, I'm just really interested in creating that openness so that it's not siphoned, it's not hidden away, but it's just generally understood and in conversation.
Amazing, beautiful. And you mentioned like getting into a routine or something around that, and I was wondering, as someone who practices a lot of holistic health modalities, like what's your daily like self-care routine as a mum or just as a human when it comes to wellness?
Yeah, so actually I found it super hard as a mum, but I've very recently been lucky enough to be in this group container led by Layla Sadeghi, who's a really brilliant yoga teacher, and it's really helped me to build my personal practice. So the kind of personal practices anyway are just nature, like that is just my practice at the moment. And my breath, you know, like really simple. I think in motherhood you just have to go right back to basics, but you don't necessarily have the time. So it's just coming back to your body. How's your body feeling? How's my heart? How's my breath? You know, being in the trees, listening to the plants, that kind of thing. But yeah, as I was saying, I've been lucky enough to be in this container of people doing this daily practice, which has just been amazing, of using kind of journaling, affirmations, incantation, and it's only 20 minutes. But again, it kind of goes back to our previous point of like how much easier this stuff is when you're in community, whether it's virtual, but just knowing, you know, there's all these people doing it as well, kind of, you feel the energy and it kind of helps you to do it.
Massively.
Yeah, so I guess like to briefly answer your question, at the moment it's affirmations, which I've not actually worked with that much before. I guess because I kind of had a lack of trust in my own voice and word, which is interesting. And it's really coming back to the power, you know, the power of our voice, the power of what we write down as words, as spells, and really, yeah, practicing that and honoring that each day.
And can I ask what affirmations you use?
Yeah, so ones that I use a lot at the moment are that I trust myself.
I need that.
Another one is
right.
Yeah, they kind of just go right in. So I trust myself. I am powerful. And I often use I am magical as well. And another one I've been working with is I am lucky, you know, really inviting in luck, because we all have access to it and we don't always think we do. So really affirming that I'm lucky.
I love that. I trust myself.
I'm powerful.
I am powerful. I'm lucky.
I am lucky. Yeah.
I love that, because that empowers us to bring the luck back to ourselves rather than placing that on like manifesting happening or something.
Totally. Which again is kind of sort of outside ourselves, and it's just drawing it all right back in as being these powerful, you know, all encompassing, infinitely powerful people that we are. And I've spent a lot of years saying that, but it's actually been in the last couple of years that I've really embodied it, because it has to be an embodied practice, right? Of really believing, feeling in ourselves that we are powerful. Yeah, and I think that shift has been quite, yeah, it's really changed things for me. And definitely honoring, you know, literally the vibration of my voice, the power of my word, my written word and my spoken word has been a big part of that. And again, that's something so easily accessible to everyone.
Yes, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I noticed on your Instagram you're going to be taking part in an event that's coming up soon.
Yeah, oh, thank you for mentioning it, because I probably would have forgotten.
So can you tell me a little bit about that and your involvement in that, and what you're going to be doing and how people can get involved?
Absolutely, thank you. So it's linked to what we were talking about before around the kind of birth, motherhood, pregnancy stuff, which we've, you know, it's kind of encompassed under reproductive health and reproductive justice. And
when you say reproductive justice, like what do you mean? What do you mean by reproductive justice?
So reproductive justice is a framework which kind of understands reproductive health in the justice sphere. So it connects it to climate justice, for example. You know, how like depending on where people might be physically located and where climate change might be impacting. So, you know, some places are much hotter than others. That affects birth rates, for example. That affects how many the experience that pregnant women might have, and then it can affect like the mortality rate of babies, things like that. Reproductive justice is about how Black women are treated appallingly, you know, how racism is rife within this sector, and it looks at why. So it looks at the structural issues that are affecting people in this sphere and connects it. So it connects it with race, connects it with climate, which climate is very much linked to race too, connects it with class, all sorts of things. So it just gives a really wide lens to understand the landscape. And it's like a wide lens and politicizes it so that we can gauge, you know, where there's inequality, where there's oppression, and how we can then liberate it to move into justice. Yeah, so this event will be talking about that and reproductive health in general. And it's got incredible speakers like Uma Dinsmore Tuli, who's a yoga therapist, yoga teacher, teaches womb yoga, well woman yoga. Kemi Johnson, who's a birth activist, midwife, hypnobirthing teacher. Dr. Saara Al-Saraf is a psychiatrist, worked a lot with mothers and children, as well as like a creative drama therapist. Myself, from my experience in healing justice. Simone Dyer, who's a doula.
And what are you going to be bringing? Like, what's your offering, or like how are you going to be part of that with your skills?
I'm going to be talking about reproductive justice and linking it to all the areas I mentioned, and how we can have this really broad, wide understanding and have that political analysis so that we can understand how race is so important in this conversation, and so that we can undo our own inner oppressions and create a much more equitable landscape. Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a really broad discussion, lots of different perspectives, lots of different people from lots of different angles, from kind of medical perspectives to yoga therapy, for example. And yeah, it'll be really interesting for anyone who's interested in healing and justice in general. You know, these issues aren't just for people who are pregnant or mums, it's for everyone. And if you want to be involved, you can follow the group. They're called Future Seeds, and it's Future Seeds Project on Instagram. There's also a link in my bio, and it's sliding scale. There's a free option, and it'd be brilliant to have as many people there as possible.
Amazing. And it sounds very, is it going to be like interactive, or is it more a series of talks?
It'll be like a panel, like a conversation, but we're going to have Q&A as well. So if people got questions and things they want to know more about, they can totally do that. Yeah.
Amazing. And I love that you're coming to healing with a very like activist energy, like things have to change and we're going to do it through healing. And I was wondering how you got into healing for justice and seeing, you know, healing as some kind of like important political activist work, as well as how important it is for the healing aspect. I'm just curious, like, how you got here doing this.
Yeah, I guess I do have the energy. I work in healing justice most of the week, so it's very much where I'm coming from. But yeah, I arrived in this place. So I used to teach yoga, and I bring that in, but I'm not like a yoga teacher anymore. I can't say that. I don't teach it. But when I trained, I very much trained because I wanted to create accessible, inclusive classes. So I was very aware of how wellness spaces are very often exclusive. You know, a lot of people don't feel comfortable being there. A lot of people feel like they can't be there. And if it's, you know, if it's really in the name of healing and wellness, then surely it should be in a way that everyone feels like they can be welcomed in that space. You know, if it's really in the name of healing and spirituality, that is the ultimate union. So it's understanding that might be the intention, but there's actually a lot of barriers that prevent a lot of people from accessing these spaces. So that was kind of my original, I suppose, you know, I've always had my like spiritual practice and things, but that was my entry point into being a practitioner, was wanting to create these inclusive spaces. So I started by teaching in refugee centers and housing estates in Brixton, as a way to kind of like go to the communities and just create these like donation-based classes.
And that was with yoga?
Huh?
That was with yoga?
Yeah, that was yoga classes that I used to teach in Angeltown housing estate and Loughborough Estate, it's called. Yeah, and then, I mean, Healing Justice was born. It was myself and my brilliant colleague Fazana, and we'd both been working in youth work, particularly Fazana, who was a lead strategist on this incredible youth project, which I was also involved with. But we just noticed there was nothing like this then. There's much more now, but at the time, you know, anything kind of looking at trauma, looking at healing, particularly healing for people from backgrounds, marginalized communities, people of color, just it wasn't there. So you can have all these services, but if people are traumatized, they're not going to be able to access them. You know, and you need to have the analysis of embodiment. People need to be able to shift things on the body level, and it needs to be particularly geared towards where there's a lack and where there's a gap. So that's kind of how we arrived there. We both have very strong spiritual practice, spiritual connection, and we both understand them as being, you know, it's like this, they don't separate healing and justice. You know, if the goal for all of us is unity, as I said, and that's where we're going to, we need to kind of do that work of dismantling and connecting to get there.
Amazing. So powerful. So powerful. I'm really like in awe. It's really awesome to speak to a practitioner who's really connected to their why, like why I'm doing this, why it's important.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can really hear that. So that's really awesome. I guess what I wanted to ask about healing for justice, like I love how you're considering that the therapists and the type of work you're doing has to be catered to or tailored to the kind of trauma that people of color are suffering from. So I'm wondering like how it works. Do people just go on your website and book a session with the people there, or like do you go out to the communities? Like how does the practical element work?
So now, because we've grown a lot in the last, well, we've grown a lot in the last year, to be honest, but the way it works now is that we, well, we're really present online. So we've got our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, which is all Healing Justice LDN. And we run regular sessions. So there's regular meditation sessions. There's 2 of those a week. There's the Mama Circle, which is about once a month. There's a Men of Color Healing Circle, which my partner runs, Akeem. What else do we have regularly?
And is that online, the Men of Color?
At the moment, everything's online with COVID, yeah.
Wow.
And it probably will be for a while. Before, all of our stuff was in person, but now everything's online. We also have like other sessions that we do sometimes, like Fazana was leading some survivor sessions recently, sessions around kind of gendered harm, that kind of thing. So we also do like very tailored specific things if the need arises. We've always worked on a responsive level. So whatever the need is, and it's always changing, we try and meet it. And it's not always us delivering. We've got a really large practitioner network of doctors, psychiatrists, herbalists, nutritionists, you know, so we call on them to host certain things where the like specific skill set is needed. Amazing. Yeah, so basically if you're interested, just like check us out online, and if we've got an event coming up, come along. All our events are free as well.
Wow, including the circles.
Yeah, they're all like, you can donate if you want, but there's no obligation to.
Amazing. I love that you've made it so accessible for everyone. And I know you have to head off soon, so I'll just ask you like one more question before you go. But I was curious, like, do you work with people on a one-to-one basis? Do you offer any like one-to-one sessions, and if so, what are they and how can people book them?
Yes, I do. I haven't been so much recently just because with everything and then having a baby and all that stuff, but I love working one-to-one, and I have a couple of people I'm working with at the moment actually, and it's kind of a mix of body work. So I've done a lot of training in body work and yoga therapy, and energy work, and basically about clearing blocks to access our power and our inner alignment, and using a host of different practices to be able to do that and work through it. Recently I've learned, you know, practicing EFT and learning other kind of trauma release stuff. So yeah, womb yoga I love to use as well, that I've learned from Uma, who's going to be on this call. So yeah, like if you'd like a session, like to get in touch, just contact me through Instagram is probably the easiest way, or you can email me. And yeah, I love working with people one-to-one. It's so special.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Saara. Like, I learned loads about Healing for Justice. Sounds like such a worthwhile organization, and I really love that your partner is also doing the Men's Circle for Men of Color. Like, I'm going to recommend him and that circle to so many men in my
Yeah,
life,
you
because
should.
I feel like it's really needed right now, that work.
Right.
And there's not many spaces where that are particularly catered to men of color as well. So
Yeah.
like, I applaud him and the work he's doing and you're doing together, because yeah, it's much needed at this time. So thank you both for yeah, stepping up and offering this.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a blessing and a pleasure.
A pleasure.
A pleasure, absolutely. That's a nice word.
A pleasure, a little bit of both. Ah, okay. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on today, Saara. Is there anything else you want to share about your services or what you've got coming up at the moment?
I think you covered it by mentioning that event that's next week. The mums course. Sorry?
What day next week?
Yeah, it's on the 21st of July at 6 p.m. Birthing the Future. And this mother's course that I've spoken about, which hasn't kind of dropped yet, hasn't launched, but if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll be updated on it.
That sounds juicy. So
Yeah,
I hope, yeah, I appreciate with these things, it's like our creative ideas are still like our babies, right? It's like they're sitting in the birth canal. We just have to wait until they're ready to be pushed out.
that's it. Yeah, and sometimes you also have to just, we're never ready. We never feel ready, and you just have to go for it. So I think we're in that phase. We're going to just put it out there in the next couple of weeks.
Amazing. Well, please tag at Morning Gloryville, like on stories or in your post when you do, and we can reshare it on our platform as well.
That'd be
Because
great.
yeah, because I started this show because I wanted to show the community like what incredible people we have in the Morning Gloryville community, what an amazing, multi-talented community of healers and wellness practitioners we have here. So I really just want to make everyone aware of how brilliant everyone is and what different kinds of support there is out there available to them.
That's
So yeah,
brilliant.
so
Yeah,
yeah, please do tag us when it's finally up and ready to go.
I will do. Thank you so much for creating this space and this platform. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Well, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, Saara.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the event and the course as well when it lands.
Thank you very much, Tania.
You're most welcome. Have a lovely day, my lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. would you
I thought you were going to stop recording.
oh no, I was waiting for you to leave because I was
Oh, I thought you were just going to stop recording. All right, I'll leave now. Bye.
Bye, take care. Oh wow, I learned so much there. I don't know about you guys, but Healing for Justice sounds like an absolutely incredible organization. They're doing really, really important work for mothers and people of color, not just in London but everywhere now that they're online as well. So I'm definitely going to be recommending their work. So guys, I thought I would take you through a short meditation practice to close. So if you're not sitting comfortable already, I would like you to sit comfortably. And yeah, we're just going to take 10 minutes for ourselves now, as it is Wellness Wednesday, to give ourselves a little dose of wellness, of midweek wellness, because we all deserve it. We all deserve it. And, you know, you've got this far in the week. It's time to take just 10 minutes to yourself to reflect on how far we've come, and where we're going as well, where we want our weeks to finish up. So if you can sit comfortably for me and sit with your palms facing, and what I'd like for you to do is close down your eyes. Just going to take a couple of breaths into the body, breathing in and out. And breathing in and out. And in. So I'd like for you to close down your eyes, come into a state of presence, and just be aware of where your body's at today. Taking a scan from our head, down the back of our neck, across our shoulders, into our heart. Breathing into your heart space, taking your scan down to your solar plexus, through your tummy, down into your hips, through your hips, through your root, down through your legs, and into your feet. And when you come into a state of presence with your body, we're just going to have a little check-in now and ask ourselves what our body needs right now. You can do this practice by imagining you're speaking to your inner child, because our inner child is our emotional body. And when we connect to our emotional body, we can truly nourish ourselves and give ourselves what it is we really need. So breathing in to your body, tuning in, and asking your inner child, if you haven't connected to your inner child before, think of yourself age 7. As you ask to communicate with your 7-year-old self, and you see he or she sitting, standing, lying, whatever their favorite position was at age 7, ask them, how are you really doing today? And wait for that honest response. Say thank you. And then ask, what is it you would like for us to do today? Ask your inner child, what would you like for us to do today? And wait for the response. And when you've received the answer, I'd like you to ask, what can I give you today to make that happen? And I'd like for you to make an arrangement with your inner child when when you're going to make that thing happen, or when you're going to do that activity together, whatever he or she's asking for. You can ask her, he or she, if there's anything else that part of you would like to share, maybe what they desire to do to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel supported. Ask if there's anything else you can provide. And after they've shared everything they want to share, you can say thank you. Thank you. I hear you. I see you. I honor you. Kissing them on the forehead. Thanking them for sharing vulnerably and honestly what they require of you today. I'd like you to fondly say goodbye to your inner child. And slowly come back to your present self, remembering what your inner child requested. Just making a quick mental note and check in how you can honor the needs of your inner child today. Remembering what they asked for. And when you feel ready and content with what you've received from your inner child's needs, I'd love for you to place your hands on your heart. Just take 3 breaths into your heart space, breathing in. And in. And in. Just coming back to presence with yourself, perhaps giving your arms and legs a little squeeze for some grounding, touching your head, your face. I invite you to write down now what you received from your inner child, what he or she wanted you to do today. Make those 3 notes. My inner child wanted me to be super creative. She said, I want you to go out and buy some art materials. I want us to sketch out our life together for the next few weeks. I want to get really clear on my creative projects, and I want to call my friends. So I'm going to go and honor my inner child needs this evening. You can use this meditation anytime you're feeling disconnected from your emotional body, or you're really stuck at identifying what it is you really need right now. You can communicate with your inner child, and he or she will tell you exactly what it is they need. And then it's up to you to joyously parent your own inner child and what they need, and give that nourishment to yourself. So thank you so much for joining me today, everyone, in this week's episode of Wellness Wednesday. As always, you're welcome to get in touch with me directly. I'm at Tania Rose Willis. I myself am offering spiral practitioner work right now, and how I work with that is I help people clear their emotional baggage so they could be in alignment with their true self, their true power, who they came here to be. I also do psychic card reading and energy healing as well, and embodied dance. So yeah, that's just a little bit more about me. You're welcome to contact me at Tania Rose Willis if you're feeling called to work with me in any way. Otherwise, keep your eyes on Morning Gloryville. More dancing will be coming soon, so watch this space. And I'll be back here next Wednesday with more wellness, juice, yumminess, news and tips for you from the Morning Gloryville community. So stay safe, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.